Welcome inside the IKS Media Studios for our final season edition of SJHL Weekly as the 2026 CANTERRA Seeds Cup champion Flin Bombers have played 3 games at the Centennial Cup with a 1-2 record. A bit of an uphill climb, but it's not over yet. Welcome into SJHL Weekly, presented by our good friends at UPL. Today we're going to analyze how the tournament has gone so far, look at the road ahead for the Bombers to see what their options are as they try to find their way into a playoff spot. And we're going to be joined by one of the biggest, producers of the tournament so far, Rhett Ewen of the Flin Bombers on the grounds at the Centennial Cup. He'll join us in about 20 minutes time. But first, let's thank our sponsors: CANTERRA Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, SAS Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. And if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter live, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, comment in, and let us know your thoughts on the tournament so far, whatever else you want to talk about. Hopefully we can get some comments on the screen today during the show, and you can be a part of the show. And a big part of today's show is going to be the man to my left, Jamie Neugebauer. Jamie, not how we wanted to see it so far, but really this Flin Bombers team is like a period away from being 2-1 and having this whole tournament reversed on them. Yeah. Initial thoughts so far through the three games at the Centennial Cup?
Yeah, I mean, you lose game 1, and that puts you behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And, they were happy enough with the performance against Longueuil in their 1-0 loss in game 1, and we'll get deeper into all of that. But that's all I'll say right now is I guess you put yourself behind the 8 ball, and the parity is suffocating, especially in Group B. So we know all about parity, obviously.
It's a national championship.
But
should be.
yeah, and I think this is the tightest, legitimately, like not just politically, diplomatically, like this is legitimately like the tightest Centennial Cup, 10-team Centennial Cup field since they started doing it in 2022.
Right.
And that's kudos to the likes of Sudbury and of the Maritime League teams and the Quebec team, for really showing up. And maybe a piece of that is because it's out east instead of out west. Yeah. I'm sure there's something to that too. But hey, the bottom line is we're here for the Bombers, and we'll see what happens.
Well, let's talk about how it's gone so far. Nugs, you mentioned game 1. We'll start there. What better place to start than game 1? Of course, against the team from Quebec. We'll call them Longueuil from here on because that's the easy way to do it. But, Nugsy, they outshot, they outchanced them. It was a very good physical game for them. They just could not get a bounce and could not figure out this goaltender.
Yeah, and, obviously they were both teams, had long times off. Longueuil swept in their championship too, so there was no excuse, really either way. And I think neither team were sharp, neither team were crisp. There was very few tape-to-tapes. There was a lot of pucks bouncing. And, one power play, ill-advised penalty turned into a goal and for Longueuil, and nothing Charlie could do about that one. You mentioned it. The Bombers outshot them 26-12. They outchanced them 15-9 in that game. But that's the margins, right, at the Centennial Cup. You either did it or you didn't. And the performance is fine to say it was a good performance, but they didn't find a way to score, and they didn't find a way to get to the areas that we know that they are elite at scoring at. And you and I talked, and Mike Reagan kind of jokingly chided us, and when we said, before the finals, can they score enough goals? And yes, they can score enough goals, but if they don't do the things like where they score their goals, then they have a harder time scoring goals because they're not going to dance around. They're not going to, wheel snipe and celly as much as maybe some other teams in the past. So didn't get to the areas, didn't get to the hard areas enough. And, again, the goaltending for the Quebec team, was outstanding too. So got to give the Quebec team credit. But the Bombers didn't get the job done, and that game really, to me, is the reason why we're kind of staring this predicament in the face.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the goaltender for Longueuil was a CJHL finalist for Goalie of the Year. Obviously, Charlie's a finalist. Austin Dubinsky on the other pool is a finalist. This is you mentioned it before. Right, Austin Dubinsky actually won. So shout out to Austin Dubinsky from the Niverville Nighthawks. But you said this before the tournament in our last show, before we got the games underway with Dave Dawson and Dave Anthony. this is a goalie-heavy tournament. All the goalies so far have shown signs of being that elite level, but we are seeing some of literally the best in the country, and Game 1 was no exception to that.
Well, look at the top 4 save percentages in this tournament so far. Mathis Lacroix-Goulet, we talked about there with Longueuil. He's got a .966 save percentage. Alex Scheivler on Camrose, .946 save percentage. Luca Connolly, who the Bombers are going to see tomorrow. We're going to talk about ways that the Bombers can get in. They need to score a few goals on Luca Connolly, who, as a rookie, has been spectacular. A .943 save percentage. Trey Caracciolo with the Patriots, a .939. So, again, some of those guys have certainly got the job done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on to game number 2. We saw a very different game, and it kind of got away. It snowballed a little bit. Whereas Game 1, I think the Flin Flon Bombers in Game 1, like you said, they didn't quite get to the areas where they score goals, but they played a pretty solid Bomber style of game. Game 2, like I said, just got away from them, and the Toronto Patriots, they just, in fairness, I don't want to take any credit away, they're a very solid team. As you can see by the score here, before the Bombers scored one, it was 5-0 before the Bombers got one. That's a tough place to put yourself for anybody. But that Toronto Patriots team really showed up and played very well.
Yeah, and I think that the mistakes that the Bombers made in this game played perfectly into the way that the Patriots want to play. They want to get out in transition. They want you to make mistakes. And when the Patriots D had a hard time moving the puck, the Patriots just chipped it by them, and then the forwards didn't get back and work hard enough in time. And it's simple stuff. Straight legs, just to the hash mark, not straight leg. When you go straight legs after the hash mark, when you're not knees bent, working hard to back check, finding a stick to the blue paint. In any level of hockey, you're going to have trouble. But obviously the likes of Cooksey and of Luciano Bruno, and those guys just totally torched them. And again, simple stuff that they didn't do the job done. And Mike was very emotional. I know a bunch of the Bombers players were very emotional after that game, and just felt like they didn't represent our league, how good our league is in that game specifically. And I got messages from the typical kind of poopy pants. Oh, it's the SJHL, blah blah blah. And you know what? Like, certainly I didn't want to see that, but it's not like those guys aren't trying. It's not like those guys don't care. They certainly care. It was a frustrating watch, let me tell you. But it was just one game. It doesn't define these kids. It doesn't define our league. But certainly, it's put them in a tough situation. And certainly the Patriots are a good team, but, they showed against Truro. Truro beat them 6-1. Soon after that they're human. I talked a little bit about the Patriots with Jacob Streetsy, who of course faced them as part of the Milton Menace this year, and he said they're beatable. They're a great team, but they're beatable. They got lots of firepower, but the Patriots played right in to their hands. Strong side D tried to finish checks up on the wall. The Patriots would just chip it by them. The weak side D was exposed because their forwards didn't help enough, and then that made Charlie Tritt, look bad. Has Charlie been lights out in this tournament? No, but it's so hard to blame him for a lot of these goals. Like, a lot of these goals were dangerous area chances, odd man rushes. I don't know if I've seen a Bombers team give it that many odd man rushes.
No, that was one thing that really stood out for me was, geez, this is uncharacteristic.
So that game, you throw it out. So, that's 3 periods. 3 periods they liked against Longueuil, 3 periods they didn't like against Toronto. That's 3-3. Yeah, this guy's not falling.
And then in terms of what we expect the Bombers to look like, Game 3 to me was really a good example of what they are, who they are, how they play. And it really reminded me, Nugsy, of Game 2 of the CANTERRA Seeds Cup final up at the Whitney Forum, where they really controlled that game from start to, I'm going to say, almost all the way through. But there was just that little snippet of time in the second period, very similar to Game 2, where Yorkton scored those few goals, a couple of goals really quickly. It just seemed like a couple of goals really quickly from Sudbury. But otherwise, though, it was turnovers, it was forechecking, it was physicality, it was forcing their game onto Sudbury. And it felt like a very solid Bombers game, pretty much start to finish, like I said, outside of that little snippet of time.
Yeah, it was low to high, it was heavy, as you said. It was making their D make mistakes. Getting the puck below the goal line. Rhett Ewen had himself a game, 2 goals, massive hit. They outchanced Sudbury 29-12. They had 29 scoring chances in that game. And, you know, we talk about the Bombers, how they throw pucks from everywhere, you know, better than anybody really in the league the last decade probably. And, you know, again, they got rewarded for that. Now, I think, again, if you look at the whole tournament so far, that's 3 good periods to start, 3 bad periods against Toronto, 2 good periods against Sudbury. That's 4 good periods and 4 bad periods.
Yeah.
So that's more good periods than bad periods. But again, that's the margins. They kind of
National
blew it,
championship,
as I
man.
said. That's
Yeah.
the national championship. What a goal there by Reed Arbery.
Jeez.
I wrote down a few of Reed Arbery's highlights from this season, by the way. That kid just plays big in the biggest games. You need that type of guy.
Yeah.
Sate, you know, or Nate, pardon me, not Sate, is going to be thrilled to have him, you know, overtime winner against Sate at the Viking Cup. He had game-winning goals in Game 2 of the final, Game 5 against Weyburn, 2 assists in Game 4 of our final in our league, and obviously the game winner with seconds left in the second period. That was, you know, just a crusher for the Sudbury Cubs.
Yeah.
And the coach even talked about Arbery's goal, you know, before today's game for Sudbury against Longueuil and how much that kind of damaged their team. But
The Sudbury,
but that
Blueberry,
the
Bulldog
Sudbury Bulldogs.
Cubs.
But they gave themselves a chance. The
Yeah.
Bombers did. If they didn't win this one in regulation,
Yeah.
it would be over.
I wonder how
So
many
give them a
times the Sudbury Cubs have to deal with the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldog
Or the
Cubs
Wolves,
or the
or any
Wolves
team
or
in
whatever.
Sudbury.
Well, sure, yeah.
I'm sure they love it.
Yeah,
If I was a Sudbury
I would hope
kid,
so.
I would love it.
That's a great, like
Hey,
that's a great show.
Sports are supposed to be fun,
Right.
Clark.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
If it
anyway.
was like an embarrassing show or something, I can see it. But
Oh, yeah.
it's
like
one of the best shows out there.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, let's have a look at, now we've done 3 games, let's have a look at the player stats here just to kind of see where the production has come from the Bombers so far. As you can see, Landon Alexander, of course, one of those goals was that empty netter to end Game 3. Rhett Ewen's big 2 goals there really pushed the Bombers, I would say, towards the victory in Game 3. The rest of the names there, you can see them all. And Charlie Tritt's numbers, very much reflective of Game 2 being included in that. If you took that out, of course, it would be much, much better and much more reflective of what we're used to seeing from Charlie.
Yeah.
Of course, in a small sample size with only 3 games, one of them bad,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. But it hasn't been too bad for the rest of the way.
Sorry for interrupting
Nope,
you.
I was
What I'll
done.
say about Charlie in this too is so impressed with his third period against Sudbury. Again, the second period against Sudbury was a tough one for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Patriots game, again, hard to blame him too much, but not his favorite game, I'm sure, as well. But he played so well in the third period.
Yeah.
He made 11 saves, I believe, in the third period against Sudbury. Some of them were tough, some great ones.
And there was one
to
that was
rally.
like 3 or 4 minutes in that was in the highlight pack where it was kind of like a possession in the zone, but it was almost like a breakaway, and he made a really big glove save. That was a crucial
Shows
save.
the character.
Yeah, crucial
It
save.
shows the character. And honestly, like, again, my feel from talking to a couple players, talking to Mike, where there was a profound sense of frustration after that Patriots game,
Sure.
and the desire to use that in the right way heading into the Sudbury game. That first period, they could have been up by 1 million. Mike, you know, and I talked a bit after. You know, he felt like they should have won by more than they did, even in that Sudbury game, based the way it went.
I mean,
but-
Dave Dawson was
There you go.
on the broadcast team that game, and Luke Much. Shout out to Luke Much,
Yeah.
Dave Dawson, Matt Decker.
Shout out.
To all those guys involved in the HN Live broadcast. But Dave Dawson was like in awe of the forechecking and the turnovers all game. He was like, there's another turnover, there's another turnover, another turnover. And it's like, Dave, this is what we're used to seeing. Like, this is the way the Bombers have played all year.
Yeah, that's right.
But, you know, they hadn't seen that quite yet up to that point in the tournament. So to see the forechecking, to see the physicality, forcing turnovers, forcing bad passes, it was good to hear the broadcasters kind of be in awe of it, because it was very apparent that that's the Bombers we wanted to see and thought we were going to see and know they can be, and they just hadn't been that way to that point.
Like, as good as the Mustangs were, even in the last 2 Centennial Cups, and then this Flin Flon team, it's such a kind of interesting feel to me, this Centennial Cup tournaments, just in terms of like the weather's getting nice, they travel away somewhere nice. You know, to mentally get into kind of going to battle mode, like that seems like such a challenge to me. And I know nobody's out there for excuses, and I know Mike's not giving them excuses. It's his job is to motivate them whatever way he can.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like it just kind of, I watched this team and I'm like, that's not like the same team.
Right.
And it wasn't the same with the Mustangs either, really. As good as they went, they played great and they went far and they went to the finals and they were great teams and they figured out how to tap back into that, kind of go to war. But you know, the way we cover it, the fans, the passion, the buildings, the rink, the juice flowing in the SJHL finals and the playoffs and even the regular season, like it feels so different that it's almost like these guys are in quasi spring hockey mode, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And so I'm like, what are we watching? Like, this doesn't feel like the same team.
They
They got to find a way to just do that from the beginning.
There's something to that, and I think there's been this argument in all junior hockey now for a while. I've heard it for a while now, where there is so much emphasis, so much energy spent, so much, you mentioned it, like juices flowing, excitement, packed rinks, testosterone fueled. You play these teams all year, you hate them. You've seen them like with Flin, Flon, and Weyburn and Yorkton and Estevan. You've seen them a few times. You kind of know who their guys are. You win, there's all this euphoria, and then it's like, then there's this 2-week break, or a week and a half, or whatever it happens to be, and then travel, and then typically, unless you're playing the host team in game 1, you're gonna play an empty rink, and that's no offense to the host teams, because it's every time.
Well, it was rocking for Somerset games.
Sure,
and stuff.
it's every
We're gonna
tournament.
see lots of fans tomorrow.
Right. It's every tournament though like this. It's unavoidable. If it's two teams from the opposite side of the country, it just, the rink doesn't necessarily fill up. And I can imagine, and I'm not giving an excuse like you just said. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm talking about for 8 of the 10 teams that are there right now. I can imagine it's probably just a very weird, like kind of deflated feeling. There isn't as much stuff going through your mind and through your body as it was in game 6 of the, or 4, you know, of the league final. So it's got to be different.
And so to your point there, we talk about it kind of having this, you know, and again, we're not chirping it. Like, I love it. I'll be honest. Like, I've loved the RBC Cup and I've loved this for a long time. So I'm not like saying I have a solution or whatever. But the teams that tend to do the best in tournaments like that are people that have just like super duper skilled teams like throughout it, because that's how spring hockey kind of works, right? So again, hockey is hockey. Like, the tournament's not over. The Bombers still have a chance to get into the playoffs, and then who knows what can happen.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the playoff scenarios, because there is one game left. We're not talking about it as if it's over, because we are. It's not over. Let's talk about the standings, Newsy. Go into that and kind of, where are we right now?
So I've had people be like, oh, their goal difference is bad. They have a chance. There's lots of some confusion out there. So let me clear this up for you. Sudbury is eliminated. They are the only team in this group that's eliminated. Thunder Bay in the other group are eliminated. That's all that we know for sure. Now, you see goal average on the far right. I know you're used to IHF and whatnot, a goal differential. Forget about that. The Hockey Canada tiebreaker for 3-way ties goes to games against in that mini group. So if the Patriots, or the Bombers, win tomorrow against Truro in regulation, then you'll see 3 teams there on 6 points. So like if Toronto beats Longueuil in regulation, or the other way around, then there'll be a 3-way tie there with 6 points. Now, goal average, what that is goals for divided by goals for plus goals against.
Oh, really?
So that's what goal average is. And so that is the tiebreaker after, because, you know, Bombers would then beaten Truro, you know, Longueuil beat this, Truro beat that. So it's been this big sort of cycle thing that we'd solve nothing, go to this goal average thing. So the Bombers, you know, it's sort of like a combination thing now of, you know, hoping that the Patriots or Longueuil kind of destroy the other team, win in regulation, and then the Bombers have a pretty smooth win in regulation over Truro. The Bombers need a regulation win, as you can see. No other thing, because a regulation win is 3 points. Now, it's not drastic. It's not drastic. I kind of did some fun, had some fun with the spreadsheet. I'm a bit of a sicko that way. But,
it's true.
So for example, like a 3-0 Toronto win over Longueuil tomorrow morning, and then a 3-1 Bombers win, say, that would get the Bombers in by like a tiny amount, but it would get them in. So it doesn't matter how you get in, and then maybe, could very well happen that the quarterfinals would be Flin, Flon, and Niverville, and who would not love that? I know I would.
It'd be great. It would be great.
Obviously, it's not easy. They set themselves up to need help because of that loss to, more than anything, that loss to Longueuil, as we've talked about. That they didn't really show up against the Patriots, and you can't account for that. But bottom line is there's still hope. They need some help from a very good Patriots team, who, by the way, rested today and are smarting from a loss themselves, an embarrassing loss themselves to Truro. And they'll go in a rink that won't be full of Truro fans. It'll be relatively empty, Patriots and Longueuil. And hopefully tomorrow morning. That's right.
Joke.
No, hey, it's true. And beat up. Hopefully, maybe beat up. I messaged the Patriots GM Blake Ricci, my good friend. I said, if you could do us a favor, that'd be great. He said, we'll try. And then it'll be game on in 4:30 our time, 5:30 in Flin Flon, 7:30 in Atlantic. Bombers and Truro will be the last game of the group stage. And Bombers have a chance. So that's all you can ask for in this world, right?
Okay, how do we want to do this? Because our guest is in. So do you want to do remaining schedule and Truro game analysis now?
Yeah.
Do we want to go to break, bring Rhett in and do it after?
Yeah, we'll do it after.
Okay, let's hit a break. And when we come back, we're going to bring in Bombers forward and, power forward, let's call him, Rhett Ewen, who had a huge Game 3. We'll talk to him about the tournament so far from his perspective. After that, we're going to break down what's coming next for this team and our thoughts on the final game of the round robin of the tournament. So stick around till after the break.
The Price Beat Guarantee is back at Capital GMC in Regina. We will beat any price on any new vehicle from any competitor, or you get $500 cash guaranteed. The Price Beat Guarantee at Capital GMC in Regina.
At Vatterstad, we're partnering with North American farmers to create the perfect emergence. We're doing this with new and innovative tillage, planting, and seeding solutions, optimized for the field conditions that you face, and with industry-leading capacities to help you get the job done in short windows of time, so you can maximize yields. Vatterstad, we look forward to growing together.
Mister.
Every ticket you buy funds programs all across Saskatchewan, like sports. Buy your tickets today.
In the last decade, the construction industry has reduced injuries by 46%. That's as many injuries prevented that would fill several stadiums. Find out more at scsaonline.ca.
Feeling like your dreams are out of reach? RBC has programs and resources to help you open the door. With RBCX Music, RBC Training Ground, and RBC Scholarships, your idea of your highest potential happens here.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside SJHL Weekly. Clark here, Nugsy there, and out on the video chat line now, we're going to hit up Rhett Ewen of the Flin Flon Bombers. Rhett, thanks for joining us today on the day off here. I'm sure you guys are scoreboard watching to an extent today, but how's everything going here today?
Yeah, it's been great. We have a day off today, so just short little practice and back at the hotel, and then go for a nice team supper tonight.
That sounds wonderful. What's on the menu? What's coming up for team supper?
Not sure. We had quesadillas last night, and they're pretty good. So maybe have those again.
Hey, quesadillas worked for the Blue Jays for a little bit there, so I don't blame you at all. Rhett, we can start with the good, but let's start with the beginning of the tournament here. We'll get into Game 3 and how things went for you guys there, but let's start with those first couple of games for you guys. Kicking off the tournament against the Quebec team, Longueuil. Just didn't seem like you guys got the bounces you needed, but boy, it was close, and you guys had a lot of good chances. Talk to me about that first game and what it meant for you guys.
Yeah, obviously we knew that we had to a good start to the tournament would have been good, and obviously we didn't get that, and a few bounces didn't go our way, and obviously that determined the game. So kind of got behind the 8 ball there, and then obviously against Toronto just completely lost our game. We were playing bomber hockey and showed in our results.
Yeah, for sure. Now, take us inside that room maybe after the Patriots game. I know there was some emotions were flying maybe about how you guys kind of represented in that one. Maybe just talk about what it says about the group with how you guys responded from that game and how it went against the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean we've had adversity all year, and we've always responded. And I think right after that game, we just knew that there was a job to be done against Sudbury, and everybody just had to dig in and do their part, maybe a little bit more. And obviously that was a huge win last night, and yeah.
Yeah, watching that game, Rhett, it really felt like that was the first time we really saw you guys get your game established. Hopefully I'm not saying anything out of turn here, but it really felt like you guys played that Bombers hockey we saw throughout the playoffs and throughout the season. What was going so right during that game, especially with your line? A couple big goals from yourself. Landon Alexander got that empty netter for the winner. Talk to me about that, how that game went for you guys.
Yeah, I think it honestly just comes down back to playing bomber hockey. I think, lots of the goals were scored right in the blue paint, and, we know at this time of the year it's hard to score goals. All these teams are really good. Just about all of them are champions of the league, so it's going to be hard to score goals. So I think just plain simple, getting pucks on net was really, really big for us, and just winning the blue paints and their end and our end.
Now, obviously, you guys are a bunch of human beings. That goes without saying. So you win the championship there in Flin, Flon. There's that big kind of emotional outpouring from the community. We've talked about that with a bunch of guys. What was the challenge like? And I'm obviously not looking for excuses, but I'm just wondering, what was the challenge like to kind of re-rev the engine up, for this whole thing? Beautiful location out in PEI, after a long season, after you do something historic. That could not have been easy. And what's that been, what have you done to try to do that?
Yeah, I think our mindset coming here was that this wasn't a vacation. And, we have a business to take care of. And, all year we've kind of had the mentality of, we're never satisfied. And, obviously winning the championship in Flin Flon was huge, and it was something really special. But, we're still searching for another one.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously you got this Truro game tomorrow, which again won't be easy. But, obviously you got to take lessons from the harder points maybe of the tournament. I guess what were the things that maybe you took out of those moments that you said, other than playing bomber hockey, playing your way, but what were some of those habits and details that Mike and the staff were saying, this needs to be better in order to win at this level, because it's an opportunity for you guys to go head to head with some real top competition here.
Yeah, like I said, every team at this tournament's obviously really good, and I think it all ultimately comes down to just playing simple. We can't be turning over pucks. Obviously, Toronto's really good off the rush, and they show that. So we can't be giving them any odd man rushes. And I think going the other way, we have to just capitalize a little more. I think against Sudbury in the third period there, we had lots of chances to kind of put the game away, but just a few bounces didn't go our way. And I think if we can just, crack down on our opportunities, we'll be good.
For sure. Now, I got to ask you about kind of off-ice stuff a little bit too, Rhett. Like it seems like every time I look at the Flin Flon, oh wait, good look at the roof there, buddy. I gotta ask you about every time I look at the social media, there's this meal was donated by this spot.
Oh yeah.
And you see people are from Flin Flon, obviously the Hall of Famer Larry out there, and kind of the list goes on. Of people. What does it mean to you that even out in PEI, like you guys feel you have people behind you in your corner right there in PEI with you?
Yeah, it's obviously super special. Just seeing all the Bomber jerseys and the Bomber logos in the stands during our games is pretty sweet, and it's pretty special that people will spend their time and money to come out here and support us, and we just want to do our best for them, and yeah.
For sure, and it is pretty cool. Like even just like watching the broadcasts, Rhett, like seeing you guys when you scored goals and stuff, especially in Game 3, it was a big uproar of cheering, and it's in a rink that I guess let's ask this. I think you kind of asked it already in a sense, Nugsy, but like we just came from a 4-game series between you and Yorkton not that long ago. It feels like it was forever ago, but it wasn't. It was only a couple weeks ago. The Whitney Forum, jam-packed, energy flowing, energy high. In Yorkton at Westland Arena, energy high, jam-packed, shoulder to shoulder. It's a different vibe at this tournament, and that's nobody's fault. It's just how these tournaments are sometimes. How does that feel as a player going from that playoff run that you guys had with the energy high, with all those things, to just a much different environment in a national championship like this?
Yeah, obviously there's no place like the Whitney, first of all.
Yeah.
But I think it's just finding ways to create our own energy. We can't be quiet on the bench. We have to be loud, and when there's a big hit, we have to be loud when somebody makes a good play, when somebody blocks a shot, because we don't have those, I guess, 2,000 people in the Whitney that are gonna go crazy every time. So I think just creating our own energy and staying positive within our locker rooms got to help us just keep even keel.
Yeah, for sure. Rhett, we appreciate your time so much. Last one from me. I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but I'm going to ask you about yourself just a little bit here. First period there against Sudbury, you scored 2 goals in like 3.5 minutes, something like that. You're just hammering kids on that Sudbury team. They're all thinking, man, I don't know if I can play in the SJ if this guy's around, and Landon Alexander's in the corner there with you too. Just talk about what went in that first period and kind of just how exciting it was to be flying like that in that game.
Yeah, obviously we're looking for a big response after the Toronto game, so to score a few goals and a big hit like that was pretty cool, and yeah, it was a really fun game to play in, and yeah, I'm really happy we got the win.
Obviously, fair enough for Arbs to get the player of the game, even though you scored 2 goals and crushed a kid, but he scored that nice.
It was, Rhett, pretty cool on the broadcast to hear the broadcasters be like, "Whoa, what a hit!" And I was like, "That's just a normal Tuesday."
It's a normal Tuesday.
It's a normal
Tuesday for Rhett Ewen.
Yeah.
I got to ask you too. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge seafood guy, so maybe tell us some of the things that you guys have been up to.
I guess it was Monday. It wasn't Tuesday. Just to
whenever
clarify.
it was, yeah, just time blurs in this world right now. Yeah. But just talk about some of the things that you guys have been up to as a team,
Sure.
outside of the games.
Not too much, honestly. We just been going for a few walks out by the hotel, and we went and got ice cream last night, which was pretty cool. The sunset was beautiful last night, so it was just cool to see some different scenery, and I tried my first lobster roll, I think it's called. Something like that. But it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Out of 10, what would you give it out of 10?
I'll give it an 8.
Love that.
It was a little different.
There's something to it. It's special. Anyways, Rhett, obviously you got a big game ahead of you tomorrow. We're all cheering for you back here. So get a good day here in you, and then we'll see you on the ice tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
It is Rhett Ewen, Flin Flon Bombers. Okay, Nugsy, let's dive in a little bit more to that game tomorrow. Let's look at the remaining schedule here, if you don't mind. So as you can see, The game tomorrow, it's a later one. It's their first like prime time game. So this is exciting as they get to see the otherwise kind of home area, home region team. So they get the later night, of course, a later game. And if all goes well, if all goes according to plan, which we kind of talked about in segment 1, the quarterfinals will go on Friday, the semifinals Saturday, the championship Sunday. So it's a very busy 3-game and 3-night, or 3 afternoon, whatever you want to call it, schedule. It's a tough stretch for anybody, but everybody's got to go through it. Well, I guess not technically. If you finish first, you don't have to go through the quarterfinal. But regardless, it's going to be a tough sled either way here at Nugsy. But let's really dive into this game tomorrow, what we've seen from Truro, and what it's going to take for Flin Flon to get the result that they really need. Because as you mentioned, a win's great. But there are certain things that needs to be met in order for the win to really make a difference.
Yeah, no, obviously, the Bombers can't think, we need to go in and score this many goals.
Right, they just have to play their game.
They just got to go in and play their game, and the chips will fall where they may. Now, the Truro Bearcats have been, the biggest surprise pretty much of the whole tournament. From me, I understand that the broadcasters on HN Live need to kind of go with stats and the CJ rankings and support that and do the research they can do. But not every league is kind of equal. But that, speaking to the Truro Bearcats broadcaster, Noah Poirier, who's a great guy. I rely on him for Maritime League guys all the time, and he's a terrific dude. So really happy that they're doing really well. And they have injury issues too, the Truro team, but they're playing really well. They've scored 9 goals, given up 6. They hammered the Patriots, as we said, and they've played really well. And I think, again, the biggest story for me was Luca Connolly, the goaltender. Kind of they had a 1A, 1B, did play a good amount during the season. He was definitely 1B to that 2009 prospect that's not going to play in this tournament due to an injury. And then, they have a whole bunch of guys with QMJHL experience. Maritime League is the way it goes with that. Obviously, Antoine Fontaine and Luca and Todd, the other forward, they're both longtime Halifax Mooseheads in the QMJHL. Jake Todd, they're both going to be problems. If Flin Flon can't get them under control, but they're 2 very similar teams. And so the thing about needing to score a lot of goals is kind of tough because this Truro team can keep the puck out. That's kind of their MO is to lock it down defensively. And again, that's Flin Flon's ways too. But they don't need to really annihilate Truro, as I said there, like a 3-1 kind of thing. If things go right in the Toronto-Quebec game, would actually do the job for them. So it's not that dire. And obviously the bottom line is they just need to beat this Truro team. Again, it's not going to be easy. It's out there, sort of hours away from Truro in their backyard. And obviously this Truro team is flying, high after that big win. This Bombers team, they have not come close to playing their best hockey yet, even though we talked about they've had some good periods and some good stretches. They haven't had a full 60 minutes. They haven't played, their way where they're just totally crushing guys. The amount of hits isn't the same amount of block shots, the shots on goal. They all have not been like what we're used to, even when they've played their best. So, and we're waiting for the best Charlie Trick game as well. And we know that he's got that in his locker, when he can. So, look, it's not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. And anybody who can't, who counts this Bombers team out is obviously mistaken. So should be a fun one to watch. I know I'll be tuned in
for sure. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be we got to get that Bombers team that we saw, especially in that first period against Greater Sudbury, where they are so stingy in their own end first, which leads them to being able to take advantage of their puck movement abilities, their puck moving skills, because everybody on that team is able to move the puck so nicely and so quickly, get the puck to the other end, and when it's in the other end, we got to see the Rhett Ewens and the Landon Alexanders and the Wyatt Stintons and all those guys pounding that forecheck to do what they did versus Sudbury, which was, I think Dave Dawson counted like upwards of almost 20 turnovers. So like you said, I think earlier in the show, they probably could have scored way more than 5-6 goals in that game. The way that they were able to turn the puck over, and they had some grade A scoring chances off of turnovers in the offensive zone. So if we can see that Flin Flon come out and kind of control the flow of the game in that way against a very solid Truro team, maybe we'll see some success. But like you said, just play their game, control what they can control, because obviously, Yeah, give it everything you got. Control what they can control, because obviously a lot of this is kind of out of their hands, in a sense. So about half of it's in their hands, half of it's out of their hands. So it's going to be a fun day tomorrow to keep an eye on for sure. And if you're able to watch, obviously tune in and take a watch for sure.
The Toronto Patriots, they play. The Toronto Longueuil game is at 9 a.m. here in Saskatchewan, 10 in Flin, Flon, and noon there. So, cheering for a big Toronto Patriots win. They're my old club, obviously, and and also that would really help the Bombers to just have some good clarity about what they need to do going to this game.
Now, I'm sorry, and apologies if you said this earlier, but is there a scenario where Longueuil wins and there's still a chance? Or
I just think it would be
the odds are better.
They would need to hammer them hard.
Sure.
And just the way that Toronto is built versus the way Longueuil is built. If Longueuil is going to win, and they've been wildly stingy, they scored 5 goals. They had 2 goals scored before coming into this game here today that they beat. They beat Sudbury earlier today. They're not a team that is going to light it up. So the hope for the Bombers really is that Toronto, who does have all sorts of firepower, as we said, kind of unloads on a maybe, hopefully, kind of tired Quebec team. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we talked about Longueuil's goaltender being maybe the best in the tournament so far. There's a lot of good ones, but again, Patriots have all sorts of weapons, so hopefully it works out that way.
Well, let's throw up that schedule one more time as we wrap up the show here today. A bit of a quicker show, obviously, but that's okay. We're really focusing in on what's going on here tomorrow. Everything comes down to it. So again, a 4:30 Saskatchewan start time, 5:30 if you're in Flin Flon / Manitoba, and 7:30 local time against the Truro Bearcats for all the marbles, so to speak, at least in terms of what Flin Flon's playoff hopes are. So we'll be tuned in. It'll be a great time. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Nugsy, everything you did, obviously analyzing the tournament. And this is kind of our last show of the season here, Nugsy. Do you want to maybe say anything as we kind of sign off for the season? Next, we have one thing left to do, which is the draft show on June 9th, the SJHL draft show. But that's kind of its own thing. It's not part of the season necessarily. So I guess I'll let you say some final words to the people.
Well, first of all, I meant to say this to start the show, but Happy Mother's Day.
Of course.
From Sunday. Yes. We all love our mothers. We wouldn't be here without them. I'm just super grateful. Clark and I are both extremely grateful to be able to bring this to you. We love all 12 teams equally. We love every player on every team
Despite
equally.
what people may think.
Some people may think, we're snubbed or we're this or that. Look, we love you all equally. We don't do anything to insult one team or praise one team more than the other on purpose, I promise. We do our absolute best to cover everybody. But it's just an honor and a treat to have this awesome job. I think in our preseason preview show, I just kind of went on about how cool it is that we get to do this. And we owe a lot of big time thanks to obviously our boss here with IKS, Paul Drouin, and obviously the commissioner Kyle McIntyre out there in PEI having a great time, it looks like, and also to Jacob Faith, who's the director of marketing, who gets the money to pay for everything, and now Nick Shumlansky, who's doing the same thing. So we're extremely grateful to all of you to tune in, who's done all the clicking and the liking. Our social media numbers are absolutely insane. Every other league that we talk to, people that work for them, we heard Dave Anthony talk in our Centennial preview there about how the SJHL is the bar that every other league is kind of setting in terms of reach and marketing and promoting players and whatnot. So we're really grateful, and we couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you, Chaotic Bro. We appreciate that. And Clark and I we work extremely hard. Everybody in the back, our graphics guy, Kelly, we just work extremely hard to do a great job for the players first, because they're the most important thing in this league for sure, is the players, and obviously for all of you. So thank you so much.
There you go. Well, echoing all of that sentiment. And just huge shout out to the boys in the back. One more big shout out to them, Stephen and Connor here today. Let's see, who else jumped in? Bryce a lot, obviously, throughout the season. Jordan, Ryan, I think that covers most of the people that jump in the back room. I'm sorry if I missed somebody.
The Joshes.
The Joshes upstairs, obviously designing everything we see for the most part on the show itself.
Connor Tate with the
Connor Tate, shout out. He hates when we shout him out though. Tater, you're the best. He's a fantastic guy. And yeah, obviously, we're turning our focus and positivity to tomorrow against the Truro Bearcats.
Sacrifice some chickens,
Flin Flon
burn some
Bombers.
sticks, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. All of the energy and power of the Whitney Forum to you. And it's going to be a great game. So enjoy it on HN Live with Dave Dawson, and I'm not sure who's calling it, if it's going to be Matt Decker or Luke Much, but either way, you're getting a good call out of the combination of the three of them.
You guys have been great.
And it's going to be a great time there. So thank you for everybody for tuning in from day one till now. 30 episodes of SJHL Weekly. Did we get to 30 on Insider or 29, 20, somewhere in that range? So upwards of close to 60 broadcasts throughout the season.
Plus Spotlight.
Plus our Spotlight show, which I guess we did, I don't know how many we did, 10, 12, something like that.
Plus all our content.
Yeah.
Plus
game
our
day
game
videos.
day videos. Plus all, we did
the
lots
recap articles.
You know what we did.
All the stuff. Yeah. So we appreciate you, obviously, for each and everything. And we'll see you on the draft show on June 9th. But until then, it's all comes down to tomorrow for the Flin Flon Bombers, and we're going to be so much in their corner, rooting them on, and we hope they do well. So bye for now from Clark and Nugsy, everybody in the back here at IKS Media. We'll talk to you again on June 9th for the SJHL Draft of 2026. Bye.
That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I'd say that'll do it. Yeah, I'd say that would do it.
364 more days till next year's hockey tryouts. I gotta toughen up.